What if I told you a cosmic event more powerful than anything you felt this year is silently approaching, and most people won't even notice until it's too late? The March 29th solar eclipse isn't just another astronomical phenomenon. It's a stealth transformation that's already rewiring your energy field, while the masses remain completely unaware. Unlike the total lunar eclipse on the 14th that everyone prepared for, this solar eclipse is moving beneath the collective radar, and that's precisely what makes it so extraordinarily potent. In the next few moments, you'll discover why this hidden eclipse is already affecting your nervous system, your decision-making, and your intuitive abilities, even if you haven't consciously recognized the signs. Have you noticed the strange exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix? Those unexplainable mood fluctuations that come from nowhere? The sudden flashes of insight followed by mental fog? Of course you have. Because you're different. You've always been more energetically sensitive than those around you. You feel shifts before others even suspect something's changing. That's why you're here right now reading these words. Your deeper awareness recognized truth before your conscious mind could name it. What most spiritual teachers won't tell you is that eclipse energy doesn't just activate on the day of the event. It builds in intensity, creating an energetic window that begins days before the actual alignment. We're already in that window now, and it's silently reshaping your reality. Some call it cosmic jet lag, that disorienting feeling of being simultaneously drained and wired, emotionally scrambled while strangely alert. That's not random. That's the eclipse already working within you, preparing your system for what's coming. But here's the critical truth. The manifestation gurus don't want you to hear. Right now, it's not about what you attract. It's about what you release. Everyone's telling you to manifest under this eclipse, to visualize, to affirm, to call in. They're leading you directly into an energetic trap. This particular solar eclipse isn't designed for attraction, it's engineered for elimination. The universe is creating a rare deletion point, a cosmic opportunity to cut cords that have been draining your life force for months, possibly years. If there's something weighing you down, a relationship that depletes you, a habit that diminishes you, a belief that limits you, this eclipse is handing you energetic scissors to finally cut it loose. And if that thought immediately brings something specific to mind, that's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Does the idea of letting go create an immediate knot in your stomach? Good. That tension is recognition. Your body knows exactly what needs to be released, even if your mind is still creating elaborate reasons to hold on. Here's what the spiritual establishment doesn't want you to know. The most powerful cosmic moments aren't about what you receive. They're about what you surrender. And the surrender that happens during an eclipse window carries a unique energetic signature that isn't available at any other time. It's cleaner, more complete, more permanent, but there's something even more important you need to understand about this particular eclipse, something that could determine whether this becomes a breakthrough or a breakdown for you. Whatever you're planning to release, whatever shift you're feeling called to make, keep it to yourself. In fact, the more significant the change, the more essential the silence around it. Right now, privacy isn't just preferable, it's energetically mandatory. When you share your intentions during an eclipse window, you're not just telling someone your plans. You're energetically inviting their doubts, fears, and limitations into your field at precisely the moment when your own energy is most permeable. The moment you verbalize what you're feeling called to change, you expose that fragile intention to the collective fear of transformation, to the resistance others feel toward their own necessary endings, to the subtle sabotage of those who aren't ready to see you evolve beyond current dynamics. And here's what most don't realize. Eclipse energy doesn't just amplify your intentions, it magnifies every projection placed upon them. Every doubt becomes louder. Every fear gains weight. Every limitation feels more real. But when you move in silence, you create a sacred container that protects your shifting energy from outside influence. You allow the transformation to root deeply before exposing it to the elements. You give your own knowing the respect of undivided attention. The most profound transformations throughout history haven't announced themselves with fanfare. They've incubated in silence until they became undeniable. Your transformation deserves the same reverence. The universe responds differently to silent intention. It honors the boundary you've created around your sacred shift. It meets your discretion with precision, your privacy with power. So as you feel the call to finally release what's been draining you, protect that intention with silence. Don't post about it. Don't explain it. Don't seek validation for it. Let the energy move through you, uncontaminated by outside opinion. Because right now, what you don't say carries more manifestation power than what you do. Look, you already know the game is rigged. And if you're paying attention, you know the walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. When you live by the day at the market's command, where profit and property rule, the land, to be heard, to be held, to be dealt a fair hand. These are the things that a people demand, and we hear you. The obsidian inner order has paywalls, yes. Those who stand with us, who fuel this mission, they give us ammunition to fight. The Archons, to push back against the machine, to go deeper, to uncover more. And as our thank you, paid members get access to a 1-hour live, personalized weekly group tarot reading, guidance, insight, and clarity for the road ahead. But kicking a man for being down on the floor? That's something we cannot ignore. That's why starting today, you can steal the Astral Atom exclusive daily newsletter for free. No paywall, no catch. Just join the Patreon free tier, link in the description. This is the start of our conversation with you. And it's bi-directional. You can reply to any email we send you. We'll read it. We'll hear you. And we'll do our best to get an answer to you from the universe itself. If you can support, we need you. If you can't, take what's free. The Obsidian Inner Order is open. Now, let's get back to work. There's another critical element to navigating this eclipse that most spiritual advisors aren't telling you, and ignoring it could cost you dearly. If you don't consciously slow down now, the eclipse will force deceleration upon you, and it won't be gentle. Solar eclipses carry fire energy, but not the kind that energizes, the kind that exposes pressure points in your life that have been silently building toward breaking. The kind that melts facades, the kind that makes the unsustainable finally collapse. You might already feel it happening. That bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of caffeine can touch. The emotional waves crashing without warning. The sense that your system is approaching overload on every level. This isn't ordinary fatigue. It's not standard stress. It's a cosmic warning system activating in your body, highlighting every place you've been pushing too hard, stretching too thin, giving too much for too long. The eclipse is systematically exposing your burnout points before they become breaking points, not to punish you, but to preserve you, not to limit you, but to liberate you from patterns that have been silently draining your life force. Here's the empowering truth. If you consciously slow down now, even just incrementally, you transform from passive recipient of this energy to active participant with it. You shift from being eclipsed to being illuminated. The stillness you've been avoiding isn't empty. It's where the real directive exists. The pause you've been postponing isn't wasted time. It's where genuine clarity emerges. The rest you've been delaying isn't weakness. It's where your power gets recalibrated. The people who consciously decelerate before the eclipse peaks on the 29th will experience this transit as transcendent rather than turbulent. They'll receive revelation instead of restriction. They'll find themselves precisely aligned with what comes next, while others are still recovering from resistance. So give yourself permission to slow down. to step back, to create space. Not because you're fragile, but because you're finally honoring the sensitivity that makes you exceptional. Because when the eclipse passes, you'll want to be standing in clarity, not crawling out of chaos. There's something mysterious happening in your mind right now. Something that most people dismiss as anxiety or overthinking, but which actually holds the key to what's trying to emerge through this eclipse portal. Have you noticed a single thought, concern, or possibility circling through your awareness with unusual persistence? A mental loop that keeps returning no matter how you try to distract yourself from it? This isn't random mental chatter. It's not ordinary worry. It's not your mind playing tricks. What you're experiencing is your intuition, trying to break through the noise, highlighting something crucial before the eclipse brings it fully into the light. That persistent thought is a messenger, and its frequency increases with its importance. During eclipse windows, clarity rarely arrives as a single lightning bolt of insight. Instead, it begins as a quiet repetition, a subtle tap on the shoulder of your awareness that gradually becomes impossible to ignore. The thought that keeps returning to you, whether it's about a relationship, a decision, a change, or a truth you've been avoiding, is precisely what the eclipse is preparing to illuminate. And the more persistently it returns, the more significant its message. Most people respond to this mental loop by pushing it away, distracting themselves, or drowning it out with noise. But those who understand eclipse energy know that this recurrence isn't meant to torture you. It's meant to prepare you for what's about to be revealed. Instead of resisting this thought, what if you finally turned toward it? What if you sat with it, listened to it, allowed it to unfold without immediate judgment or reaction? What might it be trying to show you that you haven't been ready to see? Because beneath this persistent thought lies an insight waiting to be recognized. And when the eclipse peaks, that insight could become the very key that unlocks your next level of awareness, decision-making, and alignment. The thought that won't leave you alone isn't your enemy. It's the universe preparing you for revelation. There's a critical energetic phenomenon occurring right now that few people understand, yet it's affecting everyone, especially those who are naturally sensitive or empathic. During a solar eclipse, the veil between dimensions doesn't just thin, it temporarily dissolves. Your energetic boundaries don't just become more permeable, they become temporarily transparent. The field that normally protects your energy system from external influences becomes momentarily diffuse. This isn't metaphysical theory, it's energetic reality. And if you're finding yourself inexplicably drained, emotionally overloaded, or absorbing feelings that don't seem to belong to you, this is precisely why. Eclipse energy doesn't just affect the physical world. It restructures the subtle realms that most people can't perceive, but nevertheless influence everything from your mood to your physical vitality. It amplifies everything, not just your own emotions, but the collective feelings circulating around you. The unspoken tensions in your household, the unexpressed grief in your workplace, the anxiety permeating public spaces, the collective uncertainty circulating globally. All of it becomes louder, more palpable, more invasive to your system. And yes, the eclipse also amplifies frequencies beyond the human spectrum. Energetic imprints, subtle presences, dimensional overlaps. Not necessarily negative or frightening, but certainly more active, more perceptible than usual. This isn't metaphysical theory, it's energetic reality. And if you're finding yourself inexplicably drained, emotionally overloaded, or absorbing feelings that don't seem to belong to you, this is precisely why. Eclipse energy doesn't just affect the physical world. It restructures the subtle realms that most people can't perceive, but nevertheless influence everything from your mood to your physical vitality. It amplifies everything, not just your own emotions, but the collective feelings circulating around you. The unspoken tensions in your household, the unexpressed grief in your workplace, the anxiety permeating public spaces, the collective uncertainty circulating globally. All of it becomes louder, more palpable, more invasive to your system. And yes, the eclipse also amplifies frequencies beyond the human spectrum. Energetic imprints, subtle presences, dimensional overlaps. Not necessarily negative or frightening, but certainly more active, more perceptible than usual. If you've been feeling like your energetic skin has been removed, leaving you raw and receptive to everything around you, you're not imagining it. This is the eclipse effect on your auric field. But here's what most spiritual advisors won't tell you. You don't need elaborate protection rituals or expensive spiritual tools to navigate this. You need something much simpler and more powerful: conscious space. The most effective energy protection during an eclipse isn't found in crystals, salt baths, or complex visualizations. It's found in deliberate choices about where you go, who you're around, and what you expose yourself to. Choose environments that feel clean and clear. People whose energy uplifts rather than depletes. Content that elevates rather than agitates. And most importantly, create regular windows of complete silence. Times when you're not absorbing any external input at all. If you've been feeling like your energetic skin has been removed, leaving you raw and receptive to everything around you, you're not imagining it. This is the eclipse effect on your auric field. But here's what most spiritual advisors won't tell you. You don't need elaborate protection rituals or expensive spiritual tools to navigate this. You need something much simpler and more powerful: conscious space. The most effective energy protection during an eclipse isn't found in crystals, salt baths, or complex visualizations. It's found in deliberate choices about where you go, who you're around, and what you expose yourself to. Choose environments that feel clean and clear. People whose energy uplifts rather than depletes. Content that elevates rather than agitates. And most importantly, create regular windows of complete silence. Times when you're not absorbing any external input at all. This simple practice of conscious selectivity creates an energetic boundary more powerful than any ritual. It's not about fear or paranoia. It's about energetic sovereignty. It's about recognizing that during this eclipse window, what you expose yourself to doesn't just affect you temporarily. It integrates more deeply. The people who emerge from this eclipse with their energy intact won't be those who perform the most elaborate protection rituals. They'll be those who understood that sometimes the most powerful spiritual technology is simply the word no. No to excess exposure, no to energetic demands, no to environments that drain rather than sustain. Your energy field is your most precious resource. Guard it accordingly, especially now. There's a mysterious phenomenon occurring in your dream world right now, one that holds extraordinary significance, yet is being overlooked by most spiritual guides and teachers. In the nights leading up to a solar eclipse, the veil between your conscious and subconscious mind doesn't just thin, it becomes nearly transparent. Sleep becomes more than rest. It becomes a portal to parts of yourself and understandings that remain inaccessible during waking hours. Have you noticed your dreams becoming more vivid, more emotionally charged, more difficult to shake off after waking? Have you found yourself encountering symbols, scenarios, or even people that seem to carry unusual significance or emotional weight? This isn't random. It isn't meaningless. And it certainly isn't just your brain processing daily events. What's happening is that your subconscious, the vast reservoir of wisdom, memory, and knowing that exists beneath your everyday awareness, is using the amplified energy of the eclipse to communicate with you directly. It's bringing forward precisely what you need to see, understand, or release before the eclipse creates its permanent energetic shift. The dreams you're having now aren't just dreams. They're messages in the purest language your soul knows, the language of symbol, emotion, and direct experience. They're bringing to the surface fears you've buried, desires you've denied, truths you've avoided, and possibilities you haven't allowed yourself to consider. Some of these dreams might feel disturbing, chaotic, even frightening. Others might feel prophetic, expansive, or profoundly moving. All of them are significant, not because they predict the future, but because they reveal what your waking mind has been too distracted, too defended, or too conditioned to acknowledge. The figures from your past appearing in these dreams aren't random memories. They represent unresolved energies seeking integration. The scenarios that feel emotionally charged aren't just subconscious fiction. They're symbolic representations of current choices and crossroads. The recurring symbols aren't coincidence. They're your deeper mind, using visual shorthand to communicate essential truths. Here's what the dream analysts aren't telling you. Your dreams right now might contain the exact answer to a question you've been consciously struggling with for months. Not because they're prophetic, but because they're bypassing the mental filters and limitations that have been preventing you from seeing what's been right in front of you. Most people will experience these intensified dreams, then dismiss them upon waking, returning to the same patterns, the same questions, the same limitations. But those who understand eclipse energy know that right now, the wisdom of night often exceeds the logic of day. Record these dreams. Sit with their feelings, their images, their messages. Don't rush to interpret or dismiss them. Allow them to exist as communications from a deeper part of yourself that's trying to prepare you for what comes next. Because that quiet message, hiding in your dream imagery, might contain precisely the insight that changes everything after the eclipse passes. There's one final warning you need to hear, one that could save you from a decision you'll deeply regret once the eclipse energy clears. Right now, as the eclipse approaches, you're likely feeling a mounting sense of urgency, a compelling inner pressure to make major changes, significant decisions, dramatic moves. Everything feels intensified, clarified, absolutely certain. Be very, very careful. What feels like undeniable clarity right now might actually be eclipse-induced intensity. During eclipse windows, emotional and energetic intensity often disguises itself as clarity. The universe isn't revealing truth right now. It's revealing shadows. It's bringing to the surface everything that's been buried, everything unprocessed, everything half-healed. The sudden certainty you feel about ending that relationship, the absolute conviction that you should quit that job immediately, the overwhelming urge to make that life-altering announcement or decision right now. That's not necessarily clarity. That's eclipse energy, magnifying your emotions, amplifying your reactions, and creating a false sense of urgency that may not align with your authentic path. People make the most regrettable decisions of their lives during eclipse windows, not because they're not seeing truth, but because they're seeing emotional truth without the balancing perspective of time, distance, and integration. The eclipse is designed to stir everything up before it settles it down, to bring all cards to the table before revealing which ones truly matter, to expose every emotion before showing which ones should guide your next steps. This doesn't mean you should do nothing during this potent window. Small, meaningful actions aligned with what you know to be true are perfectly appropriate. Release, work, letting go of what clearly doesn't serve you, aligns beautifully with this energy. But the major, life-altering decisions, the ones that permanently change your course, those deserve the gift of post-eclipse clarity. They deserve to be made from integrated wisdom rather than amplified emotion. Here's the test that never fails. If it feels urgently, desperately necessary to decide right now, that's your sign to wait. True alignment doesn't demand immediate action. It remains consistent before, during, and after cosmic events. The decision that's truly right for you today will still be right for you a week from now. The path that's genuinely yours won't disappear if you give it the respect of post-eclipse consideration. The truth that's authentic won't vanish if you allow it to prove its consistency beyond this momentary intensity. Trust not what feels most urgent now, but what continues to feel right when the cosmic dust settles. That's not procrastination, that's energetic wisdom. If you've made it this far, you clearly recognize something most people miss. That cosmic events aren't just astronomical phenomena, but energetic gateways that can either elevate or derail your path depending on how consciously you navigate them. The insights I've shared about this approaching solar eclipse aren't mainstream knowledge. They come from understanding energy beyond the physical, from recognizing patterns that repeat with each cosmic cycle, from seeing how these celestial alignments affect not just the tides and electromagnetic fields, but human consciousness itself. If you're ready to navigate this eclipse with genuine awareness rather than spiritual platitudes or astrological oversimplifications, I invite you to join our community at Astral Atom. Click subscribe to ensure you don't miss our upcoming revelation about what happens in the critical 72 hours after the eclipse peaks. The window most spiritual teachers completely overlook, yet which contains the most powerful opportunity for genuine transformation. Until we connect again, remember, cosmic events don't happen to you. They happen for you. The question isn't whether this eclipse will change you, but whether you'll participate consciously in that change. The eclipse is coming, whether you're ready or not. The difference is in how you meet it.